So, while I like to think that all the time is spooky season is semi-officially starting. So I thought that I might do a video on something a little paranormal. I would like to do a lot more of these, but this will be my first. I'm a bit of a skeptic. I certainly believe in some things, but I like to go through all of the scientific and non-paranormal possibilities first. So while I think that all of this is very fun, and as I said, I do believe in some of it, I don't believe in all of it wholeheartedly. Though what I'm going to be talking about today, I have my own experience with. So wait until the end of the video if you want to hear that. So today I'm going to be talking about the Hat Man. The Hat Man is a type of shadow person. Now, shadow people are entities that present themselves in generally humanoid forms that are normally a bit featureless and are completely dark, sometimes described even as being blacker than black. They're just like a void human shape. Sometimes they look solid, sometimes they look more like a mist. It all just depends on that specific entity. The only true feature that is generally seen upon their faces is glowing red eyes. So, yeah, a little spooky. They are most commonly seen at night and therefore are often associated with sleep paralysis. Now, sleep paralysis is something that is debated as to whether it is a medical scientific phenomenon or a paranormal phenomenon. It is an event in which a person wakes up and while they know they are awake, they can generally look around the room. They are unable to move their body. And during this time, many people also have visions of demons. Many people see the old hag, and oftentimes will even feel them crawling on their bodies. So some people think that shadow people are part of this phenomenon, though many people also see them at night with no correlation with sleep paralysis. I know that many of us have probably seen figures in our room that our minds create out of objects that during the day would never look like a human, but generally a couple blinks will make those go away. But with shadow figures, that's not always the case. People have also often seen shadow figures when wide awake. They'll see them out of the corner of their eyes, moving around, and when you look straight at them, they generally disappear, but sometimes not. So always check your shadows to make sure that what you're seeing really is just a shadow and not something evil. Many shadow people are figures that are seen as being demonic and that should never be interacted with, so be careful if you encounter one. People believe sometimes that they come from other dimensions. Some people believe that they are ghosts or truly just straight up demons. One of the leading writers and experts on the subject of shadow people, named Heidi Hollis, says that they have been around since the beginning of time. Heidi Hollis says that shadow people have been around since the beginning of time and that there are many historical documents in which you can tell people are talking about them. Of course, shadow people may just be a figment of people's imaginations and something that the brain creates when it is in a state of stress, sleep deprivation, or as said before, when sleep paralysis is occurring. But many people see the same figures across cultures. So much like the sleep paralysis hag, it's not confined to one person. Shadow people are not something that only an individual sees. One of these figures that is seen by many people is the Hat Man. So the Hat Man is one of the most common figures to see. Most people who have encountered the Hat Man say that he is also one of the most demonic of the shadow people. He often appears in corners and is often dressed in a long trench coat or suit and with a wide-brimmed hat, maybe a little smaller than this one, or a top hat. He also is one of the ones who is said to have glowing red eyes. The reason many peg him as being evil is that while few have true physical encounters with him, though some have, as with many shadow figures, where they say that either they feel like they're being suffocated, or some people have even been scratched, jumped upon, etc., etc. But for most people, the Hat Man especially, never touches them. He just stands there and watches. But those who are around him often have a deep feeling of dread or great fear that something is going to happen. He is commonly seen by children as well, and especially those who are going through hard times in their life, or, oddly, those who sleep in their parents' beds. Now this is where my encounter with the Hat Man comes in. So, as a child, in this exact bedroom, I would wake up a lot at night. I had trouble sleeping. I still do, but I had even more trouble back then. And when I would wake up, I would generally see different types of shadow figures. There was especially one that liked to crawl on my floor, and that one terrified me, which would lead me to go running into my parents' bedroom. But these generally changed night by night, except for one, the Hat Man. I keep looking over to a corner in my room that he would stand in. It's actually basically right in front of me. But my Hat Man wasn't evil. He scared me because there was the figure of a man in a hat standing in my corner, so who wouldn't be scared? But he never felt evil. If anything, he almost felt protective. For me, he felt closer to a sentry, just watching. I don't think he would ever do anything. He would just watch, and I don't know if he was a guardian or what he was, if he would maybe send an alert if something was happening. I don't know. I do know that when I first read about Hat Men, one, it brought back the memory of him, but also I was very surprised that most people had extremely negative feelings towards them. I was never once scared of him for what he presented to me, rather just the fact that it was a shadowy entity. Eventually, I did ask him to leave. Well, leave is the wrong word. Eventually, I was scared enough that one night I asked him if he would no longer let me see him. I told him that I knew he probably wasn't trying to scare me, but if he could please become invisible and never let me see him again, I would appreciate that because he was scaring me. And since then, I've never seen him. Sometimes I think I have felt him, just a presence watching, but not even in a creepy way, not in a scary way. Nothing that's ever made me uncomfortable since I can't see him anymore. He stayed long after the other shadow figures in my room went away. They all went away eventually once I did a cleansing in my room when I was very young, and also once my mom had given me the mantra of only good is allowed here. And even through that mantra, which would get away of all the other creepy feelings and creepy sightings, he was still there, so I don't know what to make of that. Eventually, I brought up the fact that I had seen him to my mom. Because I was spooked after reading things about the Hat Man. I was maybe about 12, and I was a little freaked out because, well, one, I was reading about spooky things, but two, I was reading about something that I had actually experienced, and so I went out to talk to her because I needed a little bit of mama comfort. The thing is, as I was telling her, an expression came over her face. When I asked her what it was, she said that she had seen him too. For a long time I slept in their room, And apparently when I was very young and I would be put down to bed long before she would ever come to bed, she would often come back in to check on me. And for a couple years, out of the corner of her eye, she would see a tall man in a long coat and a wide-brimmed hat just staring at me. She never felt anything negative either, so she never really thought anything of it, often because she was tired by then and just wanted to check and make sure I was all right. But she was never scared of him, until one day she saw him and realized that it was kind of creepy to have some shadow figure man watching over her little baby, and she asked him to go away. She never saw him again after that, and he only reappeared once I was in my own room. So again, I don't know what he is. I don't know if my Hat Man is the same as the other Hat Men, but I don't think all Hat Men are evil. Or maybe they are. Maybe the thing that people feel when they see the Hat Man is something the Hat Man's protecting from. I truly don't know. But that's my experience with Hat Men, and some of my experience with shadow people. I have a lot more, as well as some other pretty spooky paranormal stories if anybody wants to hear them. Especially over the next couple months, I would love to do more paranormal stories, either my own stories or maybe finding some spooky ones off Reddit, or even just talking about entities like shadow people. So let me know if there's anything you'd be interested in. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you have a Hat Man experience, because I'd be very interested in reading that. Alright, thank you so much. Oh, please like and subscribe. Alright, bye.